Hello, I'm Rachel Jones for the Finance News Network. Joining me today from Tribeca, Australian Smaller Companies Fund, are portfolio managers David Aylward and Simon Brown. David and Simon, welcome to FNN.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, first of all, David, if I could start with you, could you give us an introduction to the fund?
So our Smaller Companies Fund is the founding fund within Tribeca and been running for about 22 years. And in that sense, it probably represents the kind of purest representation of the things we believe in Tribeca, or at least the most evolved, I guess. And those things are around bottom-up stock selection, so really high-quality stock research that's differentiated from the market, and then also taking a very sort of objective look from a risk point of view. So what does the ultimate list of stocks kind of represent in terms of risks, and how do we manage those? And then, like everything we do, a very sort of style neutral focus on it as well. And it's really ran, with those key elements since its inception back in '98. As I said, I've run the fund all the way through. I run it now with Simon, that's been with me for about sort of 16 years, and he's been my co-PM on this fund since 2015. And look, we're very proud of the fund. We're very proud of the returns that it's achieved. We've done about 11%, a little bit over 11% since inception, and that's about twice the sort of underlying Small Ordinaries index, and that was our target when we set out. And we've done that with relatively low volatility. So in a nutshell, that's the fund, and that's why we're very proud of it.
Excellent, thanks David. And over to you, Simon. What makes the fund stand out against other funds in the small cap space?
Our process is structured and designed to know the risks that we need to take to achieve our alpha outcomes. This is implemented by a team who has a lot of experience, time in the saddle if you like. We also take a very sophisticated approach to portfolio management. When you put a group of stocks together, you're going to have risks, you're going to have biases that may be intended or unintended. We like to know what those are so we can let the underlying stock performance shine through as much as possible.
Thanks, Simon. And over to you, David. Where has the fund made money this year?
Yeah, so it's been a crazy year, as you can imagine. Lots of ups and downs and starts and stops. And really, we've had to move with that, and we've made money in everything from internet retail stocks to basic materials companies in sort of about 3 different phases through that 1 year.
We identified the area of agriculture and food as being particularly good value coming towards the end of a particularly nasty drought, where we saw earnings being shielded to a large degree, mid-cycle earnings by the elongated drought, and that proved to be the case once the drought broke. And so that delivered excellent alpha and was particularly uncorrelated during the COVID-related drawdown. Across the materials space, where we have unrivaled research capability at Tribeca, we identified 2 names in the gold space, being Saracen and Northern Star, which had done incredibly well for the fund. Both having very strong management capability and very deep asset bases. As well as the gold space, we also had an emerging nickel miner called Nickel Mines, which we identified very early on, that's now risen up to become a global player in the nickel space, both in terms of production and in terms of costs being on the lowest end of the spectrum. So it's been a good year. We've also, as David mentioned, made some inroads across sort of super cheap auto and Temple & Webster in that sort of lockdown sort of related boom that sort of benefited many stocks.
Thanks, Simon. And David, what is the outlook and what other opportunities do you see?
So, we're pretty bullish going forward in response to this global pandemic. Governments are throwing a lot of stimulus at the issue globally, and I think that will prompt pretty big earnings recovery based on on the year that we've just completed. And so with that in mind and very sort of liquid markets, I suspect that equities continue to do well. So we're fairly overall bullish. I think there are a few sort of slices of the market that could do particularly well over the next few years, I think, as a result of the way we're responding to this crisis. And to me, the one that keeps playing out for mine is this issue of real assets. So, governments are essentially printing money one way or another, and there's a lot of stimulus in the market. And so, to me, that is either inflationary or at the very least not particularly constructive for currencies. So you want to own real assets, and so that's one of the things that's really guiding us into the year ahead, is kind of thinking about things like commodities, hard assets like some sort of infrastructure assets that are yielding, or property assets. So we'll do our normal thing of picking winners and losers in each sector, but as a guiding principle, I think that's going to be very important over the next year.
On the infrastructure theme, Unity Wireless is a name we really like. It's put together some great infrastructure assets in the telco space, in particular fibre to the home, on new greenfield developments and multi-res. And we feel that there's a long runway for growth there as new developments come on and move into their portfolio. Also, we're looking at names that are going to cycle periods that were heavily disrupted by the COVID pandemic. One of those is PWR Holdings, which we really like, supplies high-end motorsport, which you obviously know. Races in F1 were curtailed through the year and cancelled, so a level of normality will bring more races for those guys and a greater level of business, which we expect to bounce back in that price.
Thanks, Simon. And back to you, David, again. Just to the last question now, how can people invest? So
in the retail space, we partner with GSFM. They distribute for us. And so it's on their website that you can find the fund, so www.gsfm.com.au, and look for the Tribeca Australian Smaller Companies Fund and follow the prompts through there. And for institutional investors, just contact us at Tribeca. David Aylward and Simon Brown, thanks so much for the introduction today, and I'll look forward to speaking to you in the first half reporting season.
Thank you.